What is liberty and where does it live? That is the question we are going to explore today. Welcome back to Liberty's Hill, where we explore how can we create a world of human flourishing with liberty, justice, dignity, and prosperity. I'm Dr. Bill Brannan, a pastor in Liberty Hill, Texas. Liberty, freedom, tyranny, oppression, those words alone evoke emotions in us. It seems at a fundamental human level, the words themselves move us. Liberty and freedom inspire us. Tyranny and oppression revolt us. I've had discussions with people whose ideas I believe will move society toward tyranny and oppression, but that is not what they intend. Their motive is to create a better world for people. They often see things that are broken, in other words, not the way that they should be, but the solutions they offer or the methods they use to pursue their goals, in my opinion, will make things worse rather than better. In my Christianese, I like to say that false messianic movements promise heaven and deliver hell. I like that language because I believe the imagery is universal if we're not carrying traumas created by false religion. A messianic movement is a powerful image of making the world better. A false messianic movement is something we believe will create a better world, but in the end, it only makes things worse. When I spoke with the liberal activists described in my first video, we agreed on many of the problems. During our conversation, we found they all had the common root of how to get people to act the way that they should. Her experience was that people could not be trusted, and therefore we need a powerful regulation state to force them to behave correctly. Notice we're talking about the regulation state, not criminal justice. I believe we need laws and regulations, but we also need a framework of ideas to help us to know the boundaries and limits we should set for them. I told her that my concern as a Christian comes from the fact that every beast in Scripture is a totalitarian state, and that looking to the state to govern human behavior through coercion could someday lead to a boot on all of our necks. Our founders' framework of liberty living in the balance of tyranny and anarchy is helpful. If man as God is the effect of sin in its seed form, then the state as God is sin in its mature form. Man as God creates anarchy, and the state as God creates tyranny. I know I'm using Christian language again, and I invite you to provide alternative language. I think we have all had experiences at some level that help us imagine the danger of anarchy. We have all been hurt by other people's bad behavior. My personal belief is that people can be broken in some areas and flourishing in others. People are complex, and people can become better regardless of how broken they are. One of the goals of creating a world of human flourishing is figuring out how to grow better people. Our dream is to grow better people and grow a better world, never giving up on the dream and never losing hope. My conversation with a liberal activist went well because we already had agreement on the problem and how people should act. That happened to be fortuitous. We were well down the road of pursuing a world of liberty and freedom together. We do not always begin with so much in common, but that just means we need to begin our conversation at a more fundamental level so that we can find common ground. That is why we begin with the idea of liberty and freedom. Our emotional response alone to those ideas is unifying, even if we quickly discover we have completely different conceptions of what they would look like and how to achieve them. It seems like a great place to begin a conversation, especially since they were the ideas America was founded upon and are uniquely tied to our identity and destiny. If we do not think about what liberty and freedom are, those words can become a slogan to push an agenda that may actually lead to the death of liberty. What does liberty or freedom look like? Where does it live? Some frame liberty as freedom from the government, especially taxes. If we accept the founders' framework, it is easy to see that that idea tries to avoid tyranny by moving away from liberty towards anarchy. Anarchy always leads to a world where there is no right or wrong. We create our own morality, and if our views clash, truth is determined by power. It is a world ruled by power, not law. Understanding the world of anarchy, many thinkers have concluded that anarchy will always give place to tyranny because in a world where might makes right, a tyrant will figure out how to amass power to himself, or itself if it is a bureaucracy. This is not the world any of us wants to live in. Yet many do not realize that they have adopted ideas that lead toward it. The idea that there is no truth leads to it. And so does the idea that morality is relative. If there is no truth or morality is relative, then might makes right. Such ideas always lead away from liberty towards anarchy or tyranny. When we believe this world operates on the law of the survival of the fittest, we have again adopted an idea that leads away from liberty. Other people frame liberty with ideas like harm none, do as thou wilt. This idea is often behind phrases like, I'm not harming anyone. For all of my Christian viewers who know the source of this idea, I challenge you to wrestle with how that idea can be true when properly defined. Here's another idea, Jesus' golden rule. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. That could be used to justify bad behavior. Someone with bent inclinations could argue that what they have done to someone else, they would love for it to be done to them. I would argue that if someone theoretically used the golden rule to justify bad behavior, they are destroying the world the idea was seeking to create. It's a misuse of the idea. For us to create a better world, we need to get beyond the letter of language and understand the intended ideas. Developing the ability to recognize the spirit of liberty, freedom, tyranny, oppression, or the spirit of ideas such as goodness, truth, and beauty, or faith, hope, and love, is what gives these ideas a world-transforming power, because we find agreement. I plan on doing a video in the Light on a Hill segment that explains how lying to Nazis if you are hiding Jews is actually a fulfillment of the commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness, to help us develop this skill. If we value doing what is right and are operating at the level of the letter, our conscience would require us to confess that we were hiding Jews. When we understand the spirit of the words, we discover lying to the Nazis to protect the Jews is actually keeping the spirit of those words. The goal is to develop a blueprint for a better world and the skills to create it together. There were several ideas that were touched upon in this video. I would love to hear your thoughts on them in the comments below. Please also subscribe to my channel.